Welcome to Game Plan Leadership. Our goal is to coach business leaders to team victory by mastering the fundamentals of leadership, transforming teams, and building high-performance habits. I'm Desi Mayner, founder of Mayner Leadership, where we have helped over 1,000 service businesses and their leaders across 50 different industries to build a streamlined, efficient business operation with elite leadership and a united, high-performing team. We are here to set you up to win. Every other week, we're going to drop fresh plays to sharpen your leadership game. If you're ready to stay ahead of the competition and lead your team to your next victory, make sure that you're in the huddle. Join our roster today so you never miss a strategy session. And stay tuned until the end for an actionable game plan that you can start using today to elevate your leadership and take your business to the next level. Let's dive in, Playmakers. What's up, Playmakers? Welcome back to Game Plan Leadership. And today we have an awesome guest on the pod for you, the owner, the operator of an HVAC business called, we have Mr. Wayne Macklin on the show of Macklin Heating and Cooling. And we're not going to beat around the bush here. We're just going to dive right in. Wayne, thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, Desi, thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity. I've been looking forward to this. I did a post last week. I messed up my schedule. I said, hey, I'm doing a podcast this Monday morning. And I'm like, uh-oh. So I had to retract that. But so that was on my end. Sorry about the mix up, but here we are. We're going for it. We're good.
Absolutely.
Good to go.
So we're just going to have a conversation about leadership. We're going to talk about team building, operations, efficiency. We're going to see where it takes us, but it's going to be valuable. This is real life, people. This is someone who's in the trenches, who's doing the thing every single day. So, Mr. Wayne, let's start out with what inspired you? Why did you even start your business?
Yeah. So the 30,000 foot view, I actually grew up in an HVAC family, worked for my dad's business for 24 years ish. Business started having some troubles. And we were the expectation was I was going to, run his business, eventually take it over.
Yeah.
That just didn't, we tried several times, no fault on anybody's, and it just wasn't, I believe the Lord just didn't allow that door to open. So anyways, in 2008, 2009, my dream actually was never to own my own business. My dream was always to own my dad's business. So there had to be, and you'll see through our stories, there's been several times where we've had to pivot, hard pivots on what we believe we were supposed to do. But 2008-ish, kind of got the feeling like, hey, maybe it's time to think about starting, my wife and I, start our own business. And so May 2010, we jumped. We literally jumped right in and started Macklin Mechanical. So we started as a commercial industrial business.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure we'll get to some of that story, but 2018-19, we made a hard pivot to full-on residential HVAC.
Well,
that's when we went.
That leads us right into our next question, which is talk to us about some of the biggest challenges of your first few years. Because what we have is, a lot of our listeners, a lot of our audience are in their first few years, right? And you've been through that, right? The ups, the downs, the fun, I can think about it like the expectation is like just a nice climb upward, but reality is like up, down, around, through a bush, around the forest, all of the above. So talk to us, what were some of your biggest challenges in your first handful of years?
Yeah, well, let me preface that. I got a lot of them to talk about. But, Proverbs says, man's heart plans his ways, but the Lord directs his steps. So
yes,
my heart was planning ways, but I didn't realize that the Lord had some very poignant steps that he had for us to first go through. So
I have that poster right here in my studio.
Oh, good. And I firmly believe that. I'm not saying that's an easy thought for me.
Right. Yeah. No doubt.
as a driven person, I'm a doer. Sometimes it's hard. I sometimes we're victims to our own drive.
Passion.
Sometimes,
Yeah, passion.
right? Yeah, passion. Yeah. What do they say? Aim, shoot, or
Ready, aim, fire.
shoot, aim. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyways, so the challenge is right off the bat, we went too fast with too big of projects. So what I didn't realize, working for a larger company at the time and then going to our own, I didn't realize how much money you need to really be funded properly, to have a good financial foundation. We literally jumped, had a little bit of a severance package for a little bit that helped that company for a little while. But we were underfunded, did some retirement stuff, and we just jumped. I mean, I jumped.
So
and we started.
See if I can extrapolate a lesson from that. Basically just too far, too fast, right? Kind of too big for your britches, right? Especially it sounds like in the industrial commercial section. Right. And I think we can, if you're a business owner listening, I think you can kind of extrapolate that lesson, whether you're HVAC or not, but like make sure that you've got the foundation, even financially, it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, that you learned the hard way. And then now walk us through too far, too fast, too big of projects. What are some of the other challenges you guys have faced?
Yeah. Well, when you're new, you want to, and how to do the work. Opportunities came, and I didn't sift those opportunities well enough because you got overhead, payroll, and all that stuff, and new business. We want to, do the right thing. So we took on projects that we probably shouldn't have. I knew technically, just from an engineering design standpoint, how to do that, but it was I didn't have the proper layers of management in place. I just would send guys out, and here you go, all the ductwork showing up in a week, and here's my drawing, let's let her rip, and so there was a lot of I didn't truly realize. Again, this podcast is probably going to serve more of a what not to do rather than what to do in business.
Hey, sometimes that's what they need. That's what people need to hear.
If I can serve as a bad example for someone, that's great.
Here's what I can tell you, Wayne. Sometimes the name of the game is staying in the game, right? And I can say this: you're still in the game, so you're doing something right, man. You're still doing something right. You're at least learning, right? That's very least. And you got a smile on your face, and I know that your customers love you and your team loves you. So there we go.
Well, thank you. Yeah, sure. You definitely a measure of resilience is required.
No doubt.
So what was happening was we were growing, and there's a saying in the trade, I'm just putting butts in the trucks, right? And we got work, we got, and guys that weren't really qualified, we'd take an apprentice and make them a foreman way too fast.
Okay. But so we got to make them earn that.
Yeah, there was, you talked about it this past week, at the seminar. Accountability wasn't there. I wasn't measuring properly, performance. I wasn't, there was just things that I was an HVAC guy. I was not a business owner, and really a lot of that early days of my business really truly was built on my ego rather than great foundational principles. But you don't know what you don't know. I realized that the challenges came when we started, and the one of the biggest challenges was now we're on, 60, 90-day receivables, that was really hard. AR was really hard. We couldn't get the vendors to be able to give us those, credit lines or whatever. So, every year we were building up debt on our line of credit, which honestly, if I had to do it over again, I would have never did a line of credit, but some people believe in leveraging all that. And might be the right answer for,
let me see if I can clear this up, because I know there's There's people out there like, 90 day or whatever. So, and just to ask you to clarify, that happens in the commercial industrial area of
Correct.
your industry, of the HVAC and the mechanical piece. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So yeah. So we're doing, big new constructions, which then, there's monthly invoicing and you're being paid that. And then there's a retainage at the end, typically about a 10% retainage, which if the job goes phenomenal, that's your profit. So if there was a commercial build or industrial build that was, let's say, took a year, I mean, you're really not realizing profit till the end. So I realized my financial understanding of how cash flow and debt and all that works was, I was clueless to it. I mean, I ran from a P&L when somebody would talk to me.
Yeah.
What's
Is that a type of a salad, or is that?
Yeah, but one of the things, so that was a weakness and that was a challenge too, because the owners should never be afraid of the finances in the business. The owners should be the expert in the business. Even if they needed a controller or an accountant that does the reports and all, you have to have your thumb on the pulse of the finances in the businth. And I did not. So there was this was, I remember, Desi,
That's
having
huge
this
right there. I mean,
huge.
I've worked with over 100 businesses now, and I bet you over half of them do not have their pulse, on the heartbeat like that, like you're saying, because they're rocking and rolling. They're doing what they're good at. They're passionate. They're working with the guys in the fields or whatever it is that they're doing. But that's such a key lesson there, that I think that we need to pull out. We need to be like, and one, like, it's okay if you're not, right? But know that you're not, right? Have that self-awareness. And then I think make sure that you get the right people in your corner, get the right help that you need, essentially, in order to help you to understand those things.
Yeah, exactly. And I think us men, or me personally, was prideful. It all looked good. I had trucks running everywhere and it all looked good, but it was not built on the proper foundation financially. Yeah. And that foundation started with my lack of understanding of the finances and how it all works in contracting. And we're selling labor, we're selling materials. I mean, it's a big deal. So I didn't, when you don't know that, then you don't know how to price properly for profit, right? So we always had really good top line revenue. Yeah. But it didn't shake down to the bottom, Desi. It was, we just,
you got to look at both.
Yeah. I mean,
revenue and profit.
There's a saying, right? Revenue is for vanity and profit is for sanity. There's a lot of wisdom in that.
100%. A lot of times what I'll say is, you can have a $10 million company with, 500,000 profit, or you can have a $2 million company with $500,000 profit. Which one do you want, right? Right? Which one do you want? And there's a lot of people, a lot of owner operators, in that same boat. But I think let's move on. Let's move to your leadership in this, because you can tell there's a journey. But before I do, give us like a snapshot, like how many people in your organization then, right, versus now?
Yeah. I want to say 12 to 15 before-ish. Come and go.
Yeah. Okay.
To now, there's just a small handful of us.
Okay.
We've when we pivoted back, I say it was 18, 19, but it takes a while to pivot a bigger business down to a smaller business. But there's a lot less now. And what I've done, just to encourage some people, is I've taken the last 4 or 5 years to work on me personally, like leadership wise, financial understanding, and have a coach. I have a best practice group I'm a part of. It's invaluable. Like you don't understand, and you as a coach, you see it, but man, you need to implement what you learn. And so I went on this, and I'm a student of the sport, right? I love information. But it's all good. It's just knowledge, but if you don't apply it, it's just taking up space, you know. So over the last couple of years, I've really tried to fill my brain with the proper things and implement one or two of those things along the way. So, you know, we have a CRM system. We have, you know, I look at our P&Ls monthly, and I literally record all our calls. Everything is, we have a software system where I record all the calls, closing rates, all that now. Like all that stuff. Now I'm
do you mind sharing what's the name of that system?
I use House Call Pro.
House Call Pro. Okay. I'm sure some people like, what system is it? Right?
Yeah.
You know,
So
we in no way benefit from saying House Call Pro, but it's good to give people another. Oh, really? I'm over a jobber, or I'm at so-and-so. Hey, sure. Wayne uses House Call Pro. It seems to work really well for him.
We do. You know, at our size, it seems to be good. It's not, how do I want to say, it's probably not as robust as Service Titan for sure. Yeah. But I'm still at a level where I can do the reporting and I can track everything through a different system. So, but it works really good for us. What that did, first of all, we've been on that for 4 or 5 years. It took our professionalism to a new level. Like when we go on a call, you know, the customer gets an automatic text, we're on our way, Wayne's on his way, who's ever, all that is under one. It's basically paperless. But it's made it, I wanted to find a system for us that was not so sterile feeling and corporate-y feeling. Yeah. We're not a slave to House Call Pro system other than what we're supposed to be doing. So you got to be careful when you're looking for systems. We want them very involved, but to a point. It's still our responsibility to touch base with our customers, follow up, be personable, do the right thing. I mean, there's no software system that gives you moral, you know,
it doesn't have a moral compass.
No, it doesn't. It just data in, data out, right? So anyways, but I go on for that, whatever. But anyways, but now I'm more fascinated with the finances and how to do it right, how to really understand the money part of the business.
So I'm hearing, you know, as much as you love working in the business, you got to work on it to make sure that it's stable to work in it and it's still rolling and we're healthy, right? That's so good. Let's go into the team. Let's talk about the team a little bit. What are some of the strategies that you've implemented? You talked a lot about working on you, but let's dig down to the team. What have you implemented to help you build? Now you went from 15 to 5, 6, 7, right? What have you done to help you build that very reliable, you know, A team starting lineup crew?
Yeah, well, there's not that many, but so it's mostly, you know, this is part of the journey is I have to be able to lead myself properly. Mm-hmm. And so what I've done is, you know, just doing things like, you know, going to seminars, all that, and then implementing it with my people saying, hey, this is why we exist. And this is our mission, and this is how we're going to get there. And you're constantly, the mission statement shouldn't change every day, but how you get there sometimes, you know, because people are different too. You know, 100%. One of the biggest things that I implemented a few years ago was putting core values in place. And so when I did that, that people actually left because of that.
100%.
Like all of a sudden there was accountability. When I started tracking sales numbers, people left. So what it told me was, you know, those years I'm hiring people for maybe their technical ability, but not on their character. So I'm telling you, that's the hard part of this whole thing as we regrow again is that core value statement. Mm-hmm. It's everything we do is filtered, funneled through that. So it's really hard to get it. It's really hard to get a job with us.
Sure. That's you know, I work in 27 different industries, right? And that's a big tough guy, HVAC mechanical, owner operator Wayne saying you gotta have your core values in place. Otherwise, what are you hiring on? Right? Like you don't really know. I think I like this person. That's like kind of what you're going with. Right? I always say Three C's of hiring. Culture, number one, just like you're talking, core values. Got to have the culture, right? Number two, character. If you align with the culture, and the way that I put it is, can I trust you with my wife and my wallet? That type of thing. And then the last C is the competence. And it's like, oh, why is competence the last C? Because we can teach skills. I can teach people how to lead. I can teach people how to communicate, right? You can teach them how to fix a furnace or put in an AC or do all the fancy stuff that you do, right?
Right.
But if you don't have that culture and that character in place, that competence doesn't really matter, because somewhere along the lines, they're going to do something that is out of alignment with what we believe in as the owner operator, right? And that's just not going to work, because they're going to say something to a customer, they're going to say something to a team member, or they're going to do something and operate in a way that's like, nope, we don't do that here. Thank you. You're done. You know what I mean?
I have a guy that's going to be, yeah. No, you're spot on. I have a guy that's starting somewhere in May, and it's his character. Like his character, he's a high character. I've spent a lot of time with him over the last few months. I see how he operates with his family. I see how he operates as a believer. His character, and I'm like, and he's smart, but if somebody has the will, we can, and the want to, we can. This is not rocket science, Desi. We can teach them. Yeah, you can teach somebody who has a desire to learn.
And I'm telling you, Wayne, this is a huge thing. Like, we come across this all the time, especially in the home service trades. Like, we got to go, we got to move, we're growing, we got opportunities. I need guys, I need trucks. And what I'm hearing you say is, right, and correct me if I'm wrong, is like, slow and steady wins this race, right? Like, if they're not the right people, it's not going to work anyways. You're going to waste your money, you're going to waste your time, and you're going to have to redo it anyway, right? And it's so key. You would be astonished how often I hear it. Like, I got to hire, we need people, and I need this, and I need that, right? I mean, I can think of 2 or 3 right now that were like, bam, 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 they hired 3, 4, 5, and guess how many are left? One. So it's like, hey, the tortoise wins this race, slow but sure. And then you have more time as the owner operator to kind of adjust, right? Because when you got 3 people, that's a leadership type style. There's a way to do that. You got 7, that changes a bit. You got 17, that changes a lot. And how you really do that. So you can kind of grow into that, much more appropriately than I went from 7 to 17, in the course of 3, 4, 5, 6 months or whatever. I think it's so key, to hear somebody that's like, I've made that mistake. Don't make it, right? And that's part of the reason we do this podcast. Part of the reason why I want to get as many owner operators on as possible, to be like, look, this is what I learned. If you're out there and you're thinking about this, like, do it this way instead. Like, learn from me, learn from us, right? Let's talk about what would you say when it comes to leading your team, right? This is always interesting, because in the home service trades, like, we've got people that are in the office, right? And I see, like, you're coming from the truck today, which I love. And he's out in the field, ladies and gentlemen, right? Which is, by the way, is the best type of owner operator that can do it all. What would you say is your biggest struggle with, like, office to field in leading that? Like, how have you guys worked through that? Because comms come into place a ton. Communication's important. But one of the cool things I like about home service trades is, like, we launch people and they get in trucks and they leave the office, but they still got our brand on. They still are carrying our core values and working. Walk us through, what were some of the struggles and how do you work through that?
Yeah. Well, as an owner operator, we think nobody can do it as good as us, right? So having to delegate and let go, is a key thing you have to do to grow. But it is not easy. Our communication, my wife is the main, with the office is the main communication we have. We work really well together. Not every husband and wife team does. So she has her lane. She's marketing. She's all the financial part. I can tell when I'm maybe meddling a little bit too much. She might give me that look like
Oh yeah.
you don't really know what you're talking about. And
Yeah.
but likewise, she doesn't meddle in the field and the operations
Yeah.
part. So the communication is key. I mean, we both have learned over the years, like probably me more so than her, is you have to have those tough conversations quickly. Don't let them fester. Don't let them fester. If you know in your heart something's not right, if there's a disconnect or maybe there's a problem a customer has, man, get on it quickly. Like I'm just like when we maybe have a callback, right? We went to try to fix something and it didn't fix it. We get on it right away. Like we don't put it off. We don't
goes to the top of the
ignore.
list.
Go, boom. It's a P1 right now.
Yeah.
Priority one.
Yeah.
So I have found with communication is do it quickly, be intentional. If there is a problem, work on, don't do the character assassinations, work on the problem together if you can.
Yeah.
Sometimes the answer is this person needs to go. They just aren't going to, I don't mind if you disagree, right? Because nobody's perfect, but to have a continual attitude of disagreement, those you will sink a ship faster. You always got the Eeyore in the group. But listen, if you've got an Eeyore, send Eeyore packing, because you don't realize the damage they're doing to your business and all your other things in your business. So communication's key. I think we can improve that too. I mean, there's always improvement.
It's always a dichotomy to be managed. Right? It's like perfection unattainable when it comes to communication.
No.
Continuous improvement, we can focus on that. Right? Did we get a little better this week when it comes to communicating, And it'll ebb and flow, right? Because we got seasons, got busy seasons, especially with your industry, right? You've got like everyone needs their AC fixed, everyone needs their heater fixed, right? And it's like, as we got busy season, we have to put more focus on communication because there's more volume going on, right? It's such great points. As I see you in the field today, I think this question is super relatable. Is how do you, as the owner operator, who's also probably one of the expert, probably the biggest expert in your business, how do you manage that balance of in the field, in the business, right? And how do you not do that? And here's a common one. Right? How are you not, on FaceTime all day because your apprentices are like, hey, I need you to fix the problem. Because I know that's common in your industry. I mean, personal experience with clients for sure.
Yeah. I wake up really early every morning. So that's when I get to that's when I get to work on the business mostly and communicate. And there's times Sean and I will do emails, and she's more of a late nighter. So I wake up really early. That's one thing I do to be able to set my day up right, set my mindset right. I mean, there's a few things I do in the morning to try to to try to get Wayne to be his best. I can be a regimented person, very disciplined. I feel like my morning time is the most disciplined time of my life, where I'm the sharpest. And so just you always have to, I don't want to say fight, you always have to desire to communicate better. If the owner doesn't have that, it won't flow to the employees. It just won't. I mean, I used to work, there was times I see some owners are absent owners. I don't know how they do it. I mean, I think there's probably such huge, some businesses, they built to just be press and play, right? They can be on a beach in Maui somewhere. I don't have that, and that's not really my desire. I love being in the mix. I love doing work. I love working on the business. I love the people, but communication, like you say, it's just always tough. You have to desire it. And I know this, just like in marriage or anything else, when there's good communication, man, it seems like everything is just well in the world. But when it's not, when there's a disconnect, it's hard. It's just hard. It's just
talk
hard.
to us. Let's get tactical and say, like, are there any types of what types of communication platforms do you guys use? What meetings do you have with who, when? Like anything kind of tactical that would help our audience?
I mean, being as small as we are, mostly just phone calls. Honestly, I don't have set stuff right now. We will, starting in this spring, summer. It's going to look a little different when people are here, but it's mostly just honestly just phone conversations, text, and then we see each other, at the end of the day. So nothing too crazy. We'll need to figure out another level once we scale back up again. But
more of a system.
Right now,
it's probably once you get closer to 10 people.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Sure.
What would you say? What's one big operational mistake that you've made that you would warn other owner operators? Really, just in any small business of less than 100 people. What would you say is what's one operational don't do that type of moment for you?
Yeah. So I would say where I made a lot of mistakes was being in a seasonal business like HVAC. We have our shoulder seasons and we have our peaks.
Yep.
Being delusional about your business is growing. When you're in an up peak season, you think that's going to maintain the rest of forever.
Yeah.
But realize there are patterns and there are, cyclical weather, you name it.
Yeah.
Election years. I mean, there's a million things that can influence homeowners, spending money or not. Tax returns. A lot of times we'll see the uptick during the, when people get their returns. So being very patient and understanding your capacity.
Yeah.
There's times you have to say no. We can't be being smaller. We can't be all things to all people. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. If offering a service that is going to absolutely upset the whole piece in your business, or the structure of your business, well, then the answer is no. Just don't do it until you're really ready. I would say the other thing with home service guys is they want to add different trades to their businesses. Let's say their core is, plumbing or whatever. And hey, I want to get into electrical and HVAC. Yeah, be really careful when you do that. You want that one to be really, you've got to have that thing because you don't want to milk that mother trade to start, you can start robbing Peter to pay Paul. We've had a few things where we've stretched a little bit and realized they had to rope it in.
One of my favorite sayings there is, when you're looking at themes, I do this in my annual planning. You look at you set goals and what's the theme of the year? And I usually say it's in one of three buckets. It's either better, more, or new. Right. And I'd say 9 out of 10 times it's better.
Better.
Whatever it is that you're doing, just do it better.
Do it.
Right. And then once you're man, I think we're 90, 95%. We're doing this pretty doggone good. Our customers are telling us, our team's telling us, okay, now crank it up and just do more. Now just go max capacity on that, right? And then figure out how. And now, once we're at about 90% in that area, now let's look at something brand new.
Yeah. And the other thing is
adding a trade or something like that.
And honestly, not to harp on it, but if you haven't established core values, a mission statement, vision statement, you need to do that. Yeah. And I personally believe now there are businesses that do it with all the employees and take a consensus and all that. I think that's okay in some situations, but if you're an owner operator or a smaller business, I believe the core has got to go, okay, how do I want to be perceived? How am I perceived?
Yep.
So really taking care of your brand, because we're a local business. And so we realize that, you got to win your own neighborhood before you go win the world. Right. So you've got to, and that's where we're at. We try to win the world. Then I'm wait a minute, I want to be more community minded. I want to make more relationships. Hey, let's go residential. And that takes a long time, man, to get to be, and we're not even, I feel we're just getting started, Desi. Honestly, I believe I have this fire in my belly. I know we're just getting started. But you got to think about it. You can't, they say just, sales covers a multitude of sins. It's not that, we talked about that at lunch. It doesn't. Top line revenue, it just makes your mistakes and your weaknesses even more magnified.
Bigger. Yeah. Highlights it even more.
And your
couple of
financial
things.
risk gets bigger and bigger.
Couple of things here just to get tactical on what you were talking about. You know, if you're out there like vision, mission, core values, what are we talking about? Right? Like vision is where you're going, right? Like take me to the future and show me what it's like. And I like to say use your five senses, right? Like what's it look like, sound like, smell like, feel like, you know, all of those things. And then the mission is the how. How are we going to do this? And then the core values, I dig in. I always say like 3 to 5. Humans are really good with 3. However, if you're an owner operator like me or like Wayne, you're probably like, I want 9, type of deal. But so I always say like try to keep it less than 7 if you can. I think the more important piece, get as close to 3 as you can. But the more important piece is, have you defined them, right? And like really simply, and are you training on them? Are you talking about them very, very consistently? Like, are they a thing? Because that's, and going back to our session the other day, that's like a global or macro expectation, right, of your business. So I think those are incredibly important. It's one of the foundational pieces of what you're talking about there. So I just wanted to like dig into that a little bit more tactically as we're talking. But yeah.
We have 8, which is too many. I want to scale it down, but our number one real quick is faith. Now people look at that. We're a faith-based business. We're believers. But that faith doesn't mean you have to be a believer to work in the business. You have to have faith that what we're doing is correct. Like, and that's all, that all the other ones flow into that. But that person is have faith in what we're doing is right and good. Like, are we helping and not hurting people? Are we doing it fair and just and with honesty and, have a faith in who we are in the community and in our own personal lives. That's our first one. But
absolutely.
Anyway.
Let's dig into like scale and growth. So, you've been there and back and you're going there again. What's some advice that you would give to, a small business owner operator, even like micro business, less than 25 people, that's like, I want to scale. I'm tipping that 1 million mark and I want to get to 3 and I want to do it overnight, because I always say, business is a lot like, as an entrepreneur, you're dropped into a jungle with the machete, and the machete is nothing but your passion and your perseverance. And you can't see more than 3 feet in front of you, but you're going to just whack-a-mole away. Right. And it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but man, I'm going to go fast and I'm going to go hard and we're going to get there. You don't even know where there is. Right. So what advice would you give that owner operator that's in that season?
Yeah. So before you really start to, you're probably coming from hey, I'm a good technician. I'm a good whatever. Yes. And, there's a book out there called The E-Myth. I don't know if you've heard of it, Desi.
Oh yeah. Great book. Yeah,
great book. So Michael Gerber is the author. And, the thing is E-Myth is, guys, trades guys or whatever, you're been with a business, you have this entrepreneurial seizure he talks about where you start thinking, wait a minute, I'm the top guy. My owner is billing out $500 and I'm only getting paid $100 out of this. He must be making it. I can do this myself better than him. So then they quit, they go into business and realize that it's a lot easier to play with somebody else's money than their own. And then, so really understanding gross profit, expenses, net profit. Okay. Like, don't be afraid, so that gross profit, you have to know how much, what are your materials? How much are you going to charge for labor? What's your break-even labor rate per hour per day? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to structure to understand how much it costs your business to employ someone and send them out in a truck or whatever you do. Yeah. You've got to know that so that you can price properly. Because here's the thing. A lot of those guys that, like me, when I started, I'm like, I'm gonna be a little bit cheaper than everybody else to take all this work away from all the big guys around us. Well, that is the kiss of death. Okay. Yeah. That is you already nailed one nail in your coffin of your
a race to the bottom, essentially.
a race to the bottom. Well, I don't have all this overhead. Well, no, you actually have more overhead because all of it's riding on you, 100%.
Yeah, because you're a bottleneck.
Yeah, and you're trying to eke out a salary or a living for your family out of that. So
Right.
it's all on you, right? So that you're not dividing your overhead by a lot of employees. So a lot of them are under this impression that if I price a little lower, I'll get a bunch of work and it'll grow my business faster. Well, that does not work. I personally believe if I could do it all over again, when we pivoted to residential, I took that approach, and that was wrong. It was wrong. I would have started charging what, you got to bring value. You have to know you got to know you do awesome work. You can't be pricing higher and you're throwing out junk work, but you've got to understand those gross profit. Most home services operate at a 50 to 55% gross profit margin. Most home services should run somewhere in that 30 to 35% overhead. Yeah. And the rest, 10 to 20, should be your net profit.
Right.
That's just, and really, without that, it's very difficult to even think about buying a new truck or or hiring someone. So that pay attention to your numbers, get taught. Like if you don't know anything like I did, I spent the money and invested in myself and my business to learn how to understand the numbers of our business. It is, if I could do one thing more, again, I would have gotten better at the financial part quicker, right off the bat. I just didn't know. I'm like, we'd call people, how much do you charge for this? And, acting like a customer. I'm like, that's a horrible way to price your goods and services. Their business is completely different than ours, So we know. So to that, not to run off on a rabbit trail, but once you know your numbers, your true numbers. Now they fluctuate and they move a little bit, but when you know those hard numbers, when you're presenting a price to a homeowner or a customer, you can feel confident in that price. So when they start going, well, this company can do it for $4,000 less than you, and this and that. Sometimes you have to walk. A lot of times you walk away. We are not the cheapest in our world over here, but we're not positioning ourselves to be the cheapest. But we believe we bring value. Now, here's the thing. Here's the caveat to that: is know your numbers really well. Yeah. Know what you're good at. Work on what you're weak at. But also understand there is in our area, there's some big players, but the small owner operator 1, 2, 3 guy shop where the customer get to know me as the owner, and I build those relationships. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people around here that love seeing the owner throw the tools on. That's going to be that's the struggle for me, is when we start to grow again, is to get out of the truck. I love the interaction with customers at the kitchen table. Yeah. And so there's people who are just don't want to deal with those bigger companies because these big companies, God bless them, they got to do their thing, but they come in and all they are is a sales company. They really don't, their techs now are sales techs. They're not true service techs that say, hey, let's do this, give you 2, 3, 4 options. You might be able to get a couple, 3 more years out of that AC or furnace. People appreciate you being honest. You'll get, if you're honest with people, that's our playbook. We're just honest. And listen, those people call us to replace their systems when they're ready. Yeah. You just have that's the key, is the value, right? It's not about how much this thing costs, right? There's value that you can add when it comes to honesty and customer service and the quality of your service and things like that. That's so key. I love that. The value is the word that I definitely took out of that. Let's dig into some takeaways here, as we start to wrap this. What would you say is one leadership principle that you live by that has really helped you get through it all and then shaped your business to what it is now? Not comparing ourselves to others. Okay. Especially with authenticity. This is us, and it doesn't matter about the rest. I really have learned to tune out the noise, tune out the we're on our own journey. I'm on our own journey. Like, this is ours. This is our little pea patch to take care of, right?
Yep.
You know, and
Yep.
so we can't, you know, especially with social media, this is not easy, right? Where you're seeing everybody celebrating all their 10X and this and that and all this stuff, while you're sitting here with a little owner operator in a truck going, man, I'm doing something wrong. I must be doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Just because you're small doesn't mean you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. And easy to do that compare and contrast, because it's out there everywhere, right? I saw so-and-so's trucks, or this post or that post, or I went to this thing and they talked about this. Yeah. Run your race, be authentically you, be very comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing
I'm
seeing a lot of, and I think you do an amazing job of this too, is your presence, even on social media and in your marketing. Like, it's like almost you building a personal brand, and you're like, hey, we do HVAC as well, right? And you throw that in there every now and then, but it's more like, this is me, this is what I believe, I'm comfortable with my own skin. If you don't like what I'm saying, maybe you're not for us, and that's okay, right? Type of a deal. And I think all of that is value added. So I think that's a great takeaway for people. Let's do a couple more. What would you say if you got, you know, a micro business, small business owner operator, they're listening to this, maybe they're struggling with their team or their operations. What would you say? What's one tactical action step give them today?
Yeah, I mean, if you feel like you're just disconnected, it does start with you. But, you know, maybe do one-on-ones. You know, maybe once a week. I mean, you could be. There was a point in my business where, you know, I'm either letting people go or they're quitting or whatever. And I mean, I was doing triage. It felt like every morning. You know, okay, we got a truck out there. Is there somebody to go in it? But I think that your employees need to see your heart.
Yeah,
they've got to know you. They have to know you first, and then that will give you the opportunity to get to know them, right? Yeah, and you know, some owners say, I want to keep I'm a boss and I got to keep this distance. Yes, to a point, but if you keep too much distance, you're going to be like on an island. And you know, this whole open door policy. You know, I know some owners that they say their door's open, but it takes a chainsaw to cut through it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's to open it. So you be personable. Yeah. You know, hold people accountable, but also, you know, show that you need to love your people. Like, if you don't love your employees, there's a problem in your heart, or you've hired the wrong people. I mean, 100%. We're not in the HVAC business, Desi. I'm in the people business.
Love it.
You know, we just happen to be, HVAC is the, you know, is the vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can keep that, it's really all about people. You've got your external customers and your internal customers, which are your employees.
Yes.
Some people call them team members, call them whatever you want, but they got to know your heart, and you got to know them. I mean, if you have an employee that, you know, they're one of their kids is having a struggle or whatever, ask them about it. Hey, how's your son doing? How's your daughter doing? How's your wife doing? Like, take 2 seconds. You know, people, if they think you care, man, people will run through brick walls for you if they truly know you care. Yeah,
I coached a lot of football, obviously. Yeah. People tell me I exude sports, right? And I'm like, the way that my principle, my leadership principle that always served my guys really, really well was, I'm going to love you 51% and I'm going to challenge you 49%. So it's like 51% of the time, I'm going to believe in you. I'm going to love you. I'm gonna run through a brick wall for you to clear the way. But 49% of the time, I'm gonna challenge you, push you, I'm gonna pull you, and I'm pretty good at knowing when should I be in the 51 and when should I be in the 49. That is the key right there, and I love it. So the tactical piece there is have some one-on-ones. You know, utilize the traffic light, red, yellow, green. Where are you at? How you doing?
That was good.
Be complex by any means, but get to know, build a relationship. Have one-on-ones with your people. A good tactical action step there. I love it. Hey, Wayne, where can people find you, find your business? Right? Hey, Wayne's awesome. I want him to come fix my heater. How can they find you guys?
Yeah, I mean, our main phone is 810-714-9500. You can go to our find us on Google, Macklin Heating and Cooling. Our website is www.mhlc.com. MACKHEAT.com. So MacHeat.com. And yeah, love to help anybody that wants to be helped.
Mac, what is one piece of parting advice that you would give the owners, operators, and leaders in business before, like, hey, let me launch out with this?
Yeah, you got to believe in yourself. Like, if you don't have that determination and self-belief, and I know sometimes it's hard, you know, it seems like before you start a business, everybody's cheering you on, do it.
Yeah.
But then once you start having some success in that business,
yes,
the crowd gets much quieter. So you have to be self-motivated. You got to know. Now, as a believer, I know I'm where God has us and wants us, but you've got to know that you're to be doing this business. If you know that, because you're going to be tested, it's going to test you to the core in all different areas of your life. Just be confident in yourself. I mean, if you truly, you know, but be confident, but don't be disillusioned. Yeah. But get out there, man. There is always space. I've always said this. There's always space in every market for an owner operator, small time business that just does a killer job taking care of people. There's always room there.
Yeah, I love it. Be authentic, believe in yourself.
Yeah.
When you're dropped into that jungle machete, make sure that the thing is sharp. And that sharpness is your passion and perseverance and belief in yourself. Wayne, thanks for coming today. This is a powerful conversation. Guys, go check out Wayne. Follow him on social media. He's there to help.
Great huddle, playmakers. This strategy session was packed with powerful plays and game-winning insights designed to elevate your leadership, drive your team to victory, and make your business better than ever. As a coach both on and off the field for over 20 years, I live for those game-changing moments, and I'm sure that you just scored a few during this episode. Now, it's your turn to make a move. Share your winning plays and your key takeaways by leaving a review wherever it is that you tune in, whether that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. And don't keep this game plan to yourself. Share this episode with a fellow leader who's in the trenches and who's ready to level up their leadership game. Your feedback fuels my drive and keeps me in the game, crafting these strategies and sharing insights just for you. And if you're ready to take your leadership and operations to the next level, then book a free leadership audit to learn more by visiting us at www.maynerleadership.com. Keep leading strong, stay in the fight, and make today a powerful one. Until next time, keep pushing for victory.